Okay, let's jump right into this explainer and demystify the absolutely fascinating and, yeah, sometimes super frustrating science of human connection. We are all constantly seeking emotional intimacy, right? Yet so many of us struggle to actually maintain it. So today, we're going to unpack the literal mechanics of love, heartbreak, and repair using some of the most groundbreaking psychological research out there.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the anatomy of emotional intimacy, move into the dance of disconnection, explore attachment theory in adults, break down emotionally focused therapy, achieve the softening event, and finally, look at repairing the bond.
All right, Section 1, Anatomy of Emotional Intimacy. Let's understand the foundation.
So, true emotional intimacy absolutely requires vulnerability. It's a close connection marked by immense trust and sharing without that creeping fear of judgment. Honestly, being vulnerable is kind of like opening a tiny side door in a massive, thick castle wall and letting someone in. It's a huge signal that you trust them, which invites them to lower their drawbridge too. But, lowering our defenses inherently invites the risk of rejection, which is exactly why it can feel so terrifying.
But the power of that vulnerability, it's staggering. Get this, in a recent study of 60 out of 60 couples, emotional intimacy directly determined their relationship satisfaction. Every single couple studied showed that a deep, vulnerable emotional connection was the absolute bedrock of their happiness. It isn't just a nice-to-have perk, it is the fundamental requirement.
Which brings us to Section 2, the dance of disconnection. What happens when the music stops?
It's literally the ultimate question we ask when love hurts. Why do we lose connection? Well, it usually starts with what psychologists call the demand-withdraw cycle, or as some couples intimately call it, the pit. One person pursues, criticizes, or demands, while the other just feels totally overwhelmed and shuts down or withdraws. This creates a terrible feedback loop of emotional starvation. The really crucial takeaway here, the pattern itself, not your partner, becomes the enemy.
Now, you might think you're failing if you aren't perfectly synced all the time. Actually, scratch that. Misattunement is completely normal. Research by Harvard's Dr. Ed Tronick shows even happily bonded mothers and infants miss each other's signals fully 70% of the time. No way, right? 70%. So if you feel like you're constantly missing your partner's cues, congratulations, you're a perfectly normal human. It isn't the misattunement that destroys a relationship, it's the failure to repair it.
When we fall into the pit and fail to repair, our surface actions are basically just masks hiding our unmet psychological fears. Think about it. The partner who is yelling and demanding is almost always operating out of a profound fear of abandonment and a desperate need for connection. Meanwhile, the partner who is stonewalling and pulling away, they are typically terrified of being inadequate and are just trying to protect themselves from rejection.
To truly understand those underlying fears, let's dive into Section 3, Attachment Theory in Adults, the Map of Love.
Attachment theory acts as our relationship map. It clearly shows us that all adult behaviors are driven by core human needs and profound human fears. Just like a little kid needs a secure bond with a parent to feel safe exploring the playground, adults need a secure bond with a partner to feel grounded in the world. If you threaten our needs for validation, affection, or security, bam, our deepest fears of abandonment are instantly triggered.
In fact, almost every single argument you have ever had really boils down to one primal attachment question: are you there for me? Whether you're arguing about the dishes, the finances, or who forgot to pick up the dry cleaning, what your brain is actually asking is, can I count on you? Do I matter to you? Will you respond when I need you? And when the answer to that question feels like a no during a critical moment of vulnerability, it creates an attachment injury. This is an incident that shatters trust and acts as a massive roadblock to relationship repair. It could be something like infidelity or even a partner being emotionally absent during a major medical crisis. These injuries just sit there, acting as a continuous feedback loop of distress until they are actively healed.
So, how do we heal them? Section 4, Emotionally Focused Therapy, or EFT, the Science of Repair.
While other legendary therapies like the Gottman method are fantastic for focusing on behavioral communication tactics and navigating conflict, EFT takes a totally different route. EFT reveals that the cycle, not your partner, is the real enemy. It focuses almost entirely on experiencing and reprocessing those deep underlying attachment emotions we just talked about. It's not really about negotiating a compromise, it's about repairing the emotional bond so that compromises just happen naturally. EFT walks a couple through 3 highly structured phases to guide them out of their defensive cycles and back into a secure bond. First, you de-escalate by calling out the cycle as the real enemy. Second, you shift positions by safely expressing your most vulnerable needs. And third, you consolidate by practicing these new, secure behaviors over and over until they literally become your relationship's new normal. Which brings us to the absolute climax of this process, Section 5, achieving the softening event, the turning point. By fostering a totally safe environment, partners can finally drop their armor, making vulnerability the ultimate antidote to conflict. A softening event is this incredible, pivotal moment that disrupts the negative cycle entirely. Instead of bracing for an attack, partners experience true empathy. The walls come down, and they are finally able to truly hear each other's underlying pain.
Look at how a couple transitions from a hostile, surface-level argument into a profound admission of their innermost fears here. Before the softening event, it's all about blame and defense. You pick on me, so I escape. But after softening, the true attachment fear is finally revealed. I am terrified I am inadequate. This single shift completely changes the emotional music of the entire relationship.
Just listen to this exact breakthrough script of a softening event, where anger completely dissolves into a clear plea for connection. Imagine hearing this from a partner who just moments ago was yelling at you. Suddenly, they aren't an attacker anymore. They're a frightened human being asking for your help. That is exactly how you kickstart empathy and rebuild trust.
And finally, Section 6, repairing the bond. Hold me tight. As the brilliant Dr. Sue Johnson points out, a healthy relationship isn't about avoiding conflict. No way. It's about mastering the beautiful, messy dance of constant repair. It's a moment-to-moment process. You're going to step on each other's toes, you will miss the cues, and you will disconnect. But the strength of your love is defined entirely by your willingness to reach back out and repair the tear. When we repair effectively, we create what's known as the buffer, balance, bounce effect, where our partner quite literally helps regulate our nervous system. A secure partner acts as a buffer against your fears, helps you balance your emotions when you get triggered, and allows the two of you to bounce back from distress together. You simply don't have to carry the weight of the whole world alone. And the hard science backing this up is just wild. Holding a loved one's hand actually alters how your brain processes physical pain. In studies using fMRI scans, individuals who held their secure partner's hand while receiving a mild electric shock showed significantly less pain response in their brain. I mean, emotional security translates directly to physical resilience. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you feel completely disconnected, will you recognize the dance and reach out your hand? The next time your partner is being super critical or completely withdrawn, can you look past all that surface noise and realize they are just frantically asking, "Are you there for me?" Recognizing that, well, that's the very first step to a lifetime of profound connection.